So it's getting worse for Sony. It looks like PlayStation is getting sued by a consumer group, I think in the Netherlands. The Dutch consumer group Stichting Maatschappij en Consument. I don't know. I can't pronounce any of this stuff. Anyway, the long and short of it is that Sony is facing a $500 million lawsuit for ending physical disc production, and I think things are only going to get worse for them as the dust settles, as people have time to think about the ramifications of ending physical media for PlayStation consoles completely. And this is all going to happen by 2028. No. Are they going to reverse course? I don't think so. They've already converted some of their factories that were making Blu-ray discs to, they're making like lenses or something for microscopes. I don't know, something else. They're not making PlayStation discs anymore. And I have to wonder how long until we get other countries involved, how long until we get their partners involved. We know their partners are not happy with the decision because they were blindsided by this decision. They found out at the same time that gamers found out that there were not going to be any more physical discs, and they're not happy. And we also have backlash from retailers. Retailers are like, what are we supposed to sell? Like, we can't sell Air, Sony. What are we supposed to sell? And Sony's probably gonna be like, Funko Pops. That's what you're gonna sell. You're gonna sell Funko Pops, more Funko Pops. So let's talk about this situation before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Go out to more.clownfishtv.com, and you can see Maui's nipples. Yeah, apparently. So we have more podcasts and videos out there you will not find here on YouTube. And also, if you'd like to listen to the audio version of Clownfish TV, go out to Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to audio podcasts, and we are there, guys. We're there. So let's talk about the retailers first, and then we'll get into this lawsuit, because nobody's happy with Sony right now. It's not just gamers. I mean, this is a huge domino effect on the industry. If retailers don't have anything to sell, we're talking no used games. That might be why the CEO of GameStop is trying so hard to get out of that business. It seems like he's trying to buy eBay so he can turn GameStop into like a live streaming shopping thing, probably because he knows the end is near. Like I said, they'll just sell more Funko Pops. It's come from IGN. A triumph of corporate convenience over consumer choice. Backlash to PlayStation killing discs intensifies as retailer association slams Sony. It said Sony's controversial decision to stop releasing PlayStation games on physical discs means all new PS5 games launched from January 2028 onwards will be digital only. Now, I'm going to stop right there. Who the hell thought we would still be playing PlayStation 5 in 2028 when it was launched in 2020? I mean, that's ridiculous in and of itself. That would be like playing the NES in like 1993, 94, and some people were, but not a lot of people were. They said the online backlash has been loud and clear. A high-profile petition calling on Sony to reconsider the decision passed 300 signatures, and in the past few days, users have taken to social media to share screenshots of canceled PlayStation Plus subscriptions. They don't care. Here's the thing. They're going to look at it as like, well, you're not going to have another option. I don't know what it's going to take for them to walk this back. Like I said before, I don't think they can. They've already converted those factories, I guess, or they already have plans for those factories. And at this point, would you trust them? I don't think I would. I don't think I would trust them. I'd be like, okay, fine. You might give us discs for another couple of years, but then what? You'll just wait until the next console generation to take physical media away. And the truth of it is, unfortunately, most normie gamers aren't going to care. Most normies. I'm not talking to hardcore gamers. I'm not talking to people that have been there that know the shenanigans that these companies pull. In fact, Sony just pulled a bunch of bullshit with movies. They took 500 movies off of their platform. Most people don't know that, though, unless they actually had one of those movies, unless they had the Rambo collection or whatever it was, Terminator 2 or whatever it was that got pulled. They're not going to care. They're going to be like, oh, this is how you buy your games. Well, I do it for PC. I do it for my Voodoo or Fandango or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. They're looking at like, yeah, we might lose a handful of people. They're going to rage quit, but we're actually going to make more profit per person. So if we lose even 10% of our base, we're still going to come out ahead. That's how these corporations think. They literally just look at the bottom line. They're like, it's worth cracking a few eggs to make an omelet. And they'll actually tell you that in business school. They'll be like, you can't make everybody happy. So sometimes you just got to, rip the Band-Aid off, piss a bunch of people off. As long as your bottom line is healthy, who gives a shit? And they'll flat out tell you that. And that's probably what they're looking at. But I don't know if it's going to go that well for them. And I really am thinking that the PS6 will probably be the last PlayStation console, because if we're not even dealing in physical media anymore and there are no more exclusives, what is the point? What's the point? It said the game business has now reported on comments from the UK's Digital Entertainment Retail Association, which called Sony's decision a triumph of corporate convenience over consumer choice. In a statement published online, Kim Bailey, the CEO, said its data shows that 25% of under 25s use discs for gaming, and that discs should remain as a choice on top of digital. That's true. Actually, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, well, I don't know about Gen Alpha. I don't know if they buy anything, but Gen Z definitely. Gen Z likes physical media. But do they like it enough in the numbers, again, that these mega corporations need to see? That's the problem. PlayStation's announcement that major games will no longer be available on disc is a triumph of corporate convenience over consumer choice. Every year, millions of gamers still choose to buy physical copies because they value true ownership. A disc can be shared with family. That's the problem. Traded in. That's the problem. Collected. And crucially, still played years from now. That's a problem. A download license often offers none of those freedoms. You're literally telling everybody why they're doing it. That's the problem. The problem is you buy it once, you're not going to buy it again. You can, give it to your friends or family to borrow. They can beat the game, give it back to you. They're not going to buy a copy. You buy it once, you're not going to pay every month. You're not going to pay a subscription. That's the problem, right? I mean, you basically just, you're going to say all this and Sony's going to nod and be like, yeah, thank you. Thank you for spelling out precisely why we're doing this, because we don't want you to own your shit. We don't want you to give your game to a friend to borrow. We'd rather have your friend buy that game at full price and then pay $30 a month to access all the games that they quote unquote bought. It is corporate greed. It is. ERA consumer data shows that 25% of under 25s use disc for gaming, and the total disc-based games market was valued at over £300 million in 2025, demonstrating there remains a substantial and committed audience for boxed games. Retailers see this demand every day. Physical games continue to bring people into shops and give consumers real value through gifting, collecting, and resale. The industry should be embracing every legitimate way consumers want to buy games, not narrowing their choices. Digital distribution has transformed gaming and is hugely popular, but should complement physical formats, not replace them. Consumers deserve the freedom to choose how they buy their entertainment. Removing discs doesn't represent progress. It simply removes choice. That's bad for gamers, bad for retailers, and ultimately bad for the long-term health and preservation of the game industry. Board members include representatives of the likes of Amazon. Interesting. The comments of the CEO join a growing call for Sony to reverse its decision, which has dominated discussion around PlayStation and its announcement ever since it was made last week. It remains unlikely that Sony will U-turn on this. Analysts have told IGN. This is Dr. Serkan Toto, CEO of Japanese game industry consultancy firm Canton Games, suggests that even if 500,000 people canceled their PlayStation Plus subscription in protest, it would be just a drop in the ocean for Sony. Yeah, no, that's true. That's the problem. It's the vast majority of normies make the world go round, right? And as long as normies keep paying, then this is what they're going to do. Because it might be that they're making twice as much off of every game now than they were before, because there are no manufacturing costs. You don't have to split it with a retailer. This guy says, sympathize with physical media fans, but Sony will not reverse this decision. They, of course, know what the online reaction was going to be, and they now wait for the storm to pass. They have over 120 million active PlayStation users. Around 50 million people subscribe to PlayStation Plus. As a thought experiment, let's say 500,000, 500,000 people cancel and protest, that would just be 1% of that business gone. And yeah, if they're going to make more money out of the people that are left, I mean, that's the truth of it. Why do these businesses make these decisions? They only look at the bottom line, and they only look at their quarterly earnings. They don't look at the long-term future in a lot of cases. Because a lot of these CEOs, these middle managers, they're not at these companies long enough to see the end result of their destruction. They're like, well, next quarter is going to be great because now we're going to make twice as much profit off of every customer now. So that's what they're looking at. So they're getting sued, and I think this is going to continue. I think we're going to have lots of people sue them, but they make so much money, I don't know if they care. This is coming from Tweaktown. Sony announced it was ending production of PlayStation games on physical discs in January of 2028. Now it seems Sony won't only have angry gamers knocking on their door, but a Dutch consumer group, again, whose name I will mangle, Stichting Massachade and Consument, who have filed a lawsuit on behalf of Dutch PlayStation gamers that's seeking $457 million in damages for violations of pricing practices on the PlayStation Store. While these issues seem completely separate on the surface, the Dutch consumer group argues that Sony's decision to end production of physical games reinforces its alleged monopolized position in the market, as Sony will be able to push prices even higher than they were prior to physical PlayStation games being discontinued. Well, Rockstar is charging what, $70 to $100 for Grand Theft Auto 6? It's all digital, and I guarantee you there's going to be all kinds of DLC, and I guarantee you they will find a way to get a subscription, a recurring subscription out of you every month. While the lawsuit predominantly focuses on pricing on the PlayStation Store, the recent decision from Sony has only given the consumer group's argument more credibility. Notably, Sony's relationship with gamers currently is thin at best, as indicated by a petition that has 300,000 signatures, which calls for Sony to reconsider. They're not going to. They're not going to. So yeah, they're getting sued now too. I have to wonder how many other organizations are going to sue Sony. I love this thumbnail, by the way. Push square, that's great. Here come the lawsuit. Sony's physical disc debacle likely to keep its lawyers busy. It said there's a very similar case in Mexico imminent, as lawmakers plan to appeal to the South American country's National Antitrust Commission, imploring their agency to investigate the platform holder. Boy, I wonder if this has anything to do with all those executives cashing out. It wasn't just the CEO. It was like several Sony executives cashed out sizable amounts of their stock a couple of days after this was announced, as if they knew the backlash was going to be fierce and as if they knew that the stock would probably drop. Now, last time I checked, it was actually up because the shareholders, they get all hot and bothered. Every time there are mass layoffs or they make announcements like this that are deeply unpopular with consumers, the stock prices go up, and that's what they're doing. They're basically, Sony is working for their shareholders. They're not working for you, the gamer. You're facilitating them paying their shareholders dividends. That's how corporate America works. You're technically not the customer. I mean, you are, but you're not. They're like, no, their shareholders mean more to them than the customers do. And the only time they care about the customers is when it hurts their stock price. Because again, they answer to the board, they answer to the shareholders. And that's the truth of it. I mean, that's corporate America in a nutshell. And that is the problem. That is the reason things are so shitty now across the board. I mean, I try to tell my kids, like, you don't remember the before times. I'm like, before the pandemic, things didn't suck so much. Now just doing basic everyday shit, and it's not an incompetency problem. I mean, I do think that they've gotten rid of a lot of people. I do think they're pushing AI a lot further, a lot faster than they should be in some cases, but it's all about cost cutting. It's all about hooking you on subscriptions and then making it almost impossible to cancel those subscriptions so they have record profits every quarter. That's what everything is about. You don't hear anything when they talk about how well a company's doing. You never hear about like the craftsmanship of the thing they're making, right? They're not like, hey, we make refrigerators that never die. They're reliable. No, because that's terrible for the stock. Because again, it's just like physical games. You buy that fridge once, you might have that refrigerator for 50 damn years. There are like Maytag refrigerators that are still running that people bought in the 60s and 70s, in the 50s. In some cases, I knew somebody had like a pink Maytag or something fridge, and it was run for like 50, 60 years. No problems. That used to mean something. That's not how it works anymore, because that's you're thinking like a mom and pop business that actually has some sense of shame, some sense of guilt, some sense of obligation to the customer. Corporate America does not. They don't. It's all about the shareholders' values and the bottom line. And so, again, if they sell you a disc once and it's the bestest game ever, and you'll never need to play another video game, they're completely screwed, because you're never going to buy another video game. And then you're going to let your friends borrow that game, and they're not going to buy copies. And then everybody's going to get this crazy idea that they actually own their software. We can't have that. That's not good for the bottom line, right? So I think we're going to see a lot of lawsuits. I do. Will it do any good? No, I don't think it's going to. See also Fortnite. Fortnite's getting sued all over the place. Epic Games gets sued all the time. Barely an inconvenience. They make so much money, barely an inconvenience. They'll pay them off. Here, have $100 million. See ya. We made that like last Tuesday from 2 to 4 p.m. We made $100 million, so we don't really give a shit. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.